Hello everyone, and welcome back to Chill English Channel, your calm place for learning English through deep and meaningful conversations. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Jake. We're very happy you're joining us today.
Today's topic is something that affects almost everyone, whether they're students, professionals, parents, or language learners.
That's right. Today we're talking about how I stopped wasting my time.
And before we begin, we'd like to ask you a question.
Have you ever reached the end of the day and wondered where all your time went?
Maybe you planned to do something important.
Maybe you wanted to study English, exercise, read a book, or work on a personal goal.
But somehow, the day disappeared before you could get started.
And when you looked back, you couldn't remember doing anything particularly meaningful.
If that sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone.
Not at all. For a long time, that was exactly how I felt.
Really?
Absolutely. Looking back now, I don't think I understood how much time I was wasting.
That's interesting, because most people think they would notice something like that immediately.
You would think so, but wasting time is often difficult to recognize while it's happening.
What do you mean?
Most of us don't wake up and decide to waste an entire day.
That's true.
Instead, it happens in small moments.
Small moments.
5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, a short distraction, a quick break, one video, one scroll through social media.
And suddenly an hour has passed.
Exactly.
I think many listeners know that feeling very well.
Definitely. The strange thing is, the time often feels slow while we're waiting, but incredibly fast when we look back on it.
That's a great observation.
One day I realized that weeks were passing, then months were passing, and many of the goals I cared about were still sitting exactly where I had left them.
That must have been frustrating.
It was, not because I wasn't working hard sometimes, but because I wasn't being intentional with my time.
That's an important word.
Definitely.
Let's teach our listeners a useful word here.
Good idea.
The word is intentional.
Intentional means doing something on purpose rather than by accident.
For example, I became more intentional about how I spent my time.
Or, successful people are often intentional with their daily habits.
That's a very useful word for conversations about personal growth.
Absolutely.
Looking back now, what was your biggest mistake?
I think my biggest mistake was believing that I had plenty of time.
That's interesting.
For years, I treated time as if it were unlimited.
Even though it isn't.
Exactly. If someone wastes money, they can often earn more money.
That's true.
But when we waste time, we never get it back.
That's a powerful idea.
It changed the way I think about life.
Was there a specific moment when you realized this?
There was.
Tell us about it.
One evening, I was sitting on my couch after work.
Okay.
I picked up my phone and told myself I would relax for a few minutes.
That sounds harmless.
It did. I checked a few videos, read some posts, and looked at a few comments.
Pretty normal behavior.
Very normal. The problem was that when I finally looked at the clock, nearly 2 hours had passed.
Wow.
And what surprised me wasn't the amount of time.
What surprised you?
I couldn't remember anything I had actually done.
That's interesting.
Those 2 hours had disappeared, but I hadn't learned anything, created anything, or even enjoyed myself very much.
So it didn't feel like meaningful rest.
Exactly.
That's an important distinction.
It really is. Rest is valuable. We all need rest.
Absolutely.
But mindless distraction and genuine rest are not always the same thing.
That's a lesson many people need to hear.
Including me.
Especially because modern technology makes distractions so easy.
Definitely. Today we carry endless entertainment in our pockets.
Which can be wonderful.
It can, but it can also become a problem when we lose control of how we use it.
Looking back now, do you think social media was your biggest distraction?
Sometimes yes, but I don't think social media was the real problem.
Really?
No, I think the real problem was avoidance.
That's interesting.
Instead of doing difficult tasks, I often chose easy distractions.
Why do you think we do that?
Because difficult tasks require effort.
That's true.
They require focus, patience, and sometimes discomfort.
While distractions feel easy.
Exactly. Distractions offer immediate pleasure.
even if they don't provide long-term value.
That's right.
Let's teach another useful word.
Good idea.
The word is distraction.
A distraction is something that takes your attention away from what you should be doing.
For example, my phone became a major distraction.
Or, reducing distractions helped me become more productive.
That's another excellent sentence.
One thing I learned is that wasting time isn't always about laziness.
Explain that.
For a long time, I thought I lacked discipline.
Many people think that.
But eventually, I realized that I wasn't lazy. I was simply avoiding things that felt difficult, uncertain, or uncomfortable.
That's a very different problem.
Exactly. And once I understood that, I stopped asking myself, why am I so lazy?
What did you ask instead?
I started asking, what am I avoiding?
That's a powerful question.
It completely changed my perspective.
Because sometimes the issue isn't time management.
Sometimes it's emotional management.
That's a great point.
We don't always waste time because we enjoy distractions.
Sometimes we use distractions to escape difficult feelings.
Exactly.
Difficult feelings like fear, stress, uncertainty, or self-doubt.
Those were definitely part of my story.
And I think many listeners can relate to that.
Absolutely.
So, once you realized that you were avoiding things rather than simply wasting time, what happened next?
Well, that realization led me to another important lesson about productivity, focus, and why most people struggle to use their time well.
What was the lesson?
The lesson was that I didn't have a time problem. I had an attention problem.
That's interesting.
For years, I kept telling myself that I needed more hours in the day.
I think many people say that.
Definitely. But when I looked honestly at how I was spending my time, I realized that the issue wasn't the number of hours I had.
It was how you were using them.
Exactly. Everyone gets the same 24 hours each day.
That's true.
The difference is where those hours go.
And where were your hours going?
To little things that didn't seem important individually.
Such as?
Checking my phone repeatedly, watching videos I wasn't really interested in, switching between tasks every few minutes.
That sounds familiar.
I think it's familiar because modern life is full of distractions.
That's true.
Years ago, getting distracted required more effort.
What do you mean?
If you wanted entertainment, you had to actively look for it.
That's a good point.
Today, entertainment actively looks for us.
That's surprisingly accurate.
Notifications, recommendations, messages, videos, advertisements, there is always something trying to capture our attention.
And attention is a limited resource.
Exactly. Once I understood that, I started protecting my attention much more carefully.
Let's teach our listeners an important word.
Good idea.
The word is focus.
Focus means giving your attention completely to one thing.
For example, good focus helped me finish my work faster.
Or, reducing distractions improved my focus.
That's a very useful word for English learners.
Absolutely. It's also a useful word for life in general.
Looking back now, what was the first practical change you made?
Surprisingly, it wasn't a big change.
Really?
Not at all. Instead of trying to become incredibly productive overnight, I started creating small boundaries.
What kind of boundaries?
For example, I stopped checking my phone first thing in the morning.
That sounds simple.
It was simple, but it had a bigger impact than I expected.
Why?
Because the way we start our day often influences the rest of it.
That's interesting.
Before, I would wake up and immediately start consuming information.
Messages, social media. So, once you realized that you were avoiding things rather than simply wasting time, what happened next?
Well, that realization led me to another important lesson about productivity, focus, and why most people struggle to use their time well.
What was the lesson?
The lesson was that I didn't have a time problem. I had an attention problem.
That's interesting.
For years, I kept telling myself that I needed more hours in the day.
I think many people say that.
Definitely. But when I looked honestly at how I was spending my time, I realized that the issue wasn't the number of hours I had.
It was how you were using them.
Exactly. Everyone gets the same 24 hours each day.
That's true.
The difference is where those hours go.
And where were your hours going?
To little things that didn't seem important individually.
Such as?
Checking my phone repeatedly, watching videos I wasn't really interested in, switching between tasks every few minutes.
That sounds familiar.
I think it's familiar because modern life is full of distractions.
That's true.
Years ago, getting distracted required more effort.
What do you mean?
If you wanted entertainment, you had to actively look for it.
That's a good point.
Today, entertainment actively looks for us.
That's surprisingly accurate.
Notifications, recommendations, messages, videos, advertisements, there is always something trying to capture our attention.
And attention is a limited resource.
Exactly. Once I understood that, I started protecting my attention much more carefully.
Let's teach our listeners an important word.
Good idea.
The word is focus.
Focus means giving your attention completely to one thing.
For example, good focus helped me finish my work faster.
Or, reducing distractions improved my focus.
That's a very useful word for English learners.
Absolutely. It's also a useful word for life in general.
Looking back now, what was the first practical change you made?
Surprisingly, it wasn't a big change.
Really?
Not at all. Instead of trying to become incredibly productive overnight, I started creating small boundaries.
What kind of boundaries?
For example, I stopped checking my phone first thing in the morning.
That sounds simple.
It was simple, but it had a bigger impact than I expected.
Why?
Because the way we start our day often influences the rest of it.
That's interesting.
Before, I would wake up and immediately start consuming information.
Messages, social media, news, and notifications.
Exactly. Before my day had even started, my attention already belonged to other people.
That's a powerful observation.
It really changed the way I looked at my habits.
So what did you do instead?
I tried spending the first part of my morning without looking at my phone.
Was it difficult?
Surprisingly difficult.
That's probably a sign that the habit was stronger than you realized.
Exactly. It's funny how attached we become to certain behaviors.
What happened after you made that change?
I felt calmer, more intentional, less rushed.
That's interesting because most people think productivity is about doing more.
That's what I used to think.
But your experience was different.
Very different. I discovered that productivity is often about doing fewer things and giving them more attention.
That's a lesson many people need to hear.
Definitely.
Another reason people waste time is perfectionism.
Absolutely.
How did perfectionism affect you?
For a long time, I thought I needed the perfect conditions before I could begin something important.
What kind of conditions?
The perfect mood, the perfect amount of energy, the perfect plan.
And those conditions rarely appeared.
Exactly. So, instead of starting, I would wait.
That's a trap many people fall into.
Definitely. Looking back, I wasted a surprising amount of time waiting to feel ready.
Let's teach another useful word.
The word is procrastination.
Procrastination means delaying something that you should do, usually because it feels difficult or unpleasant.
For example, procrastination prevented me from making progress.
Or, I overcame procrastination by taking small actions.
That's actually very close to what helped me.
Tell us more.
One day, I realized that motivation usually appeared after I started working, not before.
That's a fascinating idea.
It completely changed the way I approached tasks.
Because most people wait for motivation first.
Exactly. We think motivation creates action.
But often, action creates motivation.
That's what I discovered.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. Imagine you need to study English.
Okay.
If you wait until you feel highly motivated, you might never start.
That's true.
But if you tell yourself you'll study for just 5 minutes, something interesting happens.
What happens?
Once you begin, the task usually feels easier than you expected.
And continuing becomes easier.
Exactly. The hardest part is often starting.
That's such a simple idea, but it's very powerful.
It really is. Many of the things we avoid are much less painful than we imagine.
We suffer more in anticipation than in reality.
That's often true.
Looking back now, did these small changes immediately transform your life?
Not immediately.
That's honest.
I think it's important to be honest about growth. Most meaningful changes happen gradually.
Not overnight.
Definitely not overnight.
But something was changing.
Yes. Little by little, I started feeling more in control of my time.
That's a wonderful feeling.
It really is. Instead of wondering where my day had gone, I started making more deliberate choices about how I spent it.
And those choices eventually led to something much bigger.
Exactly. Because once I stopped losing hours to distractions, I finally had time to focus on the things that truly mattered.
What kind of things?
The things I had been telling myself I didn't have time for.
Such as learning new skills?
Definitely. Learning, exercising, reading, working on personal projects, and spending quality time with people I care about.
That's interesting because many people feel as though they're constantly busy.
I used to feel that way too.
But being busy and using your time well aren't always the same thing.
Exactly. That was another lesson I learned.
Tell us more.
For a long time, I confused activity with progress.
That's a powerful distinction.
Just because you're doing something doesn't mean you're moving towards what matters.
I think many people can relate to that.
Definitely. You can spend an entire day feeling busy and still end the day wondering what you actually accomplished.
Let's teach our listeners an important word.
Good idea.
The word is priority.
A priority is something that is more important than other things and deserves your attention first.
For example, learning English became one of my priorities.
Or, successful people often protect their priorities.
That's an excellent sentence.
Looking back, I think one reason I wasted so much time was that I wasn't clear about my priorities.
Why is that important?
Because when you don't decide what's important, other people and other things decide for you.
That's a powerful observation.
It really changed the way I think about daily life.
So how did you become clearer about your priorities?
I started asking myself a simple question.
What was it?
At the end of the day, would I be happy with how I spent my time?
That's a great question.
It sounds simple, but it forced me to be honest with myself.
And what did you discover?
I discovered that many of the activities consuming my attention weren't actually making my life better.
That's difficult to admit.
It is, but it was also freeing.
How so?
Because once you recognize where your time is going, you can start making different choices.
That's encouraging.
Definitely. One thing I want listeners to understand is that stopping time wasting doesn't mean becoming productive every second of the day.
That's an important point.
Very important.
Because some people hear conversations like this and think they should be working all the time.
And that's not healthy at all.
Not even a little.
Definitely not.
So what's the difference between wasting time and resting?
The difference is intention.
Explain that.
When I choose to relax, watch a movie, spend time with friends, or take a walk, that's not wasting time.
Because you're choosing it consciously.
Exactly. Rest has a purpose.
It helps you recover.
It helps you recharge your energy and enjoy life.
That's very different from losing hours without meaning to.
Completely different.
I think many people feel guilty whenever they're not working.
That's true, especially in today's culture.
But rest is part of a productive life.
Absolutely. Imagine trying to drive a car without ever stopping for fuel.
Eventually, the car stops moving.
Exactly. Human beings work the same way.
That's a great metaphor.
Thank you.
Let's teach another useful word.
The word is balance.
Balance means having different parts of your life in a healthy proportion. For example, I try to maintain a balance between work and rest.
Or, a balanced life is often a happier life.
I completely agree with that. Looking back now, what's the biggest lesson you learned from this journey?
Honestly, the biggest lesson is that life changes 1 hour at a time.
That's beautiful.
We often think life changes through huge decisions and dramatic moments.
But that's not always true.
Not at all. Many of the biggest changes in my life came from small choices repeated every day.
Such as choosing what to focus on.
Exactly.
Choosing what deserves your attention.
Choosing what deserves your energy.
And choosing what deserves your time.
That's right.
Because time is one of the few things we can never get back.
Which makes it incredibly valuable.
I think that's a lesson many people understand intellectually, but struggle to feel emotionally.
I agree. For years, I knew time was valuable,
but you didn't act as if it was valuable.
Exactly.
And once that changed, your life began changing too.
Little by little, yes.
Before we finish, let's do a little speaking practice.
If possible, try answering these questions out loud.
First question, what activity wastes the most time in your life?
Second question, why do you think that activity is so difficult to avoid?
Third question, what is one distraction you would like to reduce this week?
Fourth question, what is something important that deserves more of your time?
And fifth question, if you gained 1 extra hour every day, how would you use it?
Try answering with complete sentences and use some of the vocabulary we practiced today.
Speaking out loud helps new English become more natural, confident, and fluent.
And meaningful conversations like this are a wonderful way to practice real English.
Before we end, let's quickly review what we talked about today.
We discussed time, attention, distractions, priorities, procrastination, focus, and balance.
We also talked about social media, avoidance, productivity, rest, and intentional living.
Most importantly, we talked about something that completely changed the way I see my days.
Wasting time isn't always about laziness.
Sometimes it's about distraction, avoidance, and forgetting what truly matters.
You don't need to become perfect.
You don't need to be productive every minute.
And you don't need to eliminate every distraction from your life.
You simply need to become more intentional about where your attention goes.
Because your attention shapes your days.
And your days eventually shape your life.
And that's our question of the day. What's one thing you'd like to spend less time on this year?
Write your answer in the comments.
You can begin your sentence like this. One thing I'd like to spend less time on is...
We always enjoy reading your thoughts.
Keep learning.
Keep growing.
And remember, learning English is a journey.
We'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone.